find out by doing some research, put that in quotes, of Archie Comics. Let me just go to the wiki real quick and pull up Archie as a publisher. Obviously, the properties that are going to be listed under Archie Comics are your standard Archie Comics. Okay, list of Archie Comics imprint publications. Now, I think this is where the list that I was looking at. And I'm going to read down the list here off the Wikipedia. Archie Adventure Series from 1959 to 1966. You've got Adventures of the Fly, 1 through 31. Adventures of the Jaguar, 1 through 15. Then you have Double Life of Private Strong, Jughead's Fantasy, Shadow, 1 through 8. Tales Circulated to Drive You Bats, 1 through 7. So that was 1959 to 1966. Then there's a gap here, picking up with 1988 to 1995. Now, a couple of these I recognized immediately, one of which was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures, 72 issues published between 88 and 95. If you were going to the drugstore, in a grocery store, or whatever, you're likely to find the Archie's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures on the shelf back in the late 80s, early 90s. There was another series called Mighty Mutanimals. I've heard a lot of good things about this series. I don't know much about it, other than it is related to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in some way. Now, here's the thing that stuck out to me, and this is what we're going to talk about tonight. The Adventures of Bayou Billy, 1 through 5, starting in September of 1989 to June of 1990. Now, I've known of the NES game, Adventures of Bayou Billy.
Where'd you get your hands on Konami's new video game? Starring me, that Ray June Cage, Bayou Billy. For the first time ever, Konami combines hand-to-hand combat with driving, shooting, and of course, zapping. In one swamp, stomping adventure.
The Adventures of Bayou Billy for Nintendo.
It all starts when I get out this here swamp. You really give me riled now.
So immediately my curiosity is piqued. I thought it was a weird standout for Archie Comics to be doing something specifically for that title, for that property, I should say. In the 90s, Sonic the Hedgehog was a game property that, why not do something Sonic related? And there were a lot of Sonic comics. Total of 290 Sonic the Hedgehog issues from July of 93 to December of 2016. That's a long time. Mega Man 1 through 55 from April of 2011 to December of 2015. The Adventures of Bayou Billy. Let's talk about this real quick, just in case you've never heard of this property. I keep saying property, it's a video game. I mean, it's not like there was a whole lot of anything that came before this. There was a video game titled Mad City that got released for the Famicom in '88. It gets released over in the West, in North America specifically in 1989. They've decided they need to update the game. So I'm curious as to what the original game Mad City looked like when it comes over to the United States. It's 1989. They feel that they've got to kind of spice it up a little bit. So they make this character, the main character of this game, a Crocodile Dundee analog, okay, who's out on the bayou in Louisiana, and he's got to rescue this woman who's been taken captive. The game is interesting because it jumps different genres throughout the game. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, you're going across screen to screen, beating up the bad guys. The other thing is there are light gun elements to certain stages. So if you remember the Nintendo Zapper, you could use that, and you would play some of those stages as an on-rail shooter. And there are driving parts to this game as well. It's kind of like a racing part of it. According to the wiki here, in stages 4 and 5, the player must drive Billy's Jeep through the freeway from the grasslands to the suburbs before time runs out. It's one of these games where they took different elements and put them together, which is a pretty unique idea when you think about it. Not every game was like that at all back at this point. Most games were one certain format, and it stayed that format. Platformers, side-scrollers, but this game melded the three to tell the story. This is a Konami game, by the way. Konami made this game. It gets released in June of '89 for the North American Nintendo audience. This comic, according to the wiki, gets published September of 1989. The first issue hits September of 89. So why don't we go ahead and just experience the first issue, and if the story is gripping, then maybe we'll do all 5. Well, maybe we won't do that all in one sitting. The wiki does mention that Bayou Billy, I'm going to read this. It says, Bayou Billy also received some amount of exposure on the Nintendo-themed animated TV series Captain N, the Game Master, where Bayou Billy appears in an episode titled How's Bayou? Voiced by Gary Chalk. Playing on the difficulty of its real-world counterpart, Bayou Billy was said to be the one game even Captain N was unable to conquer. Nice little appearance there. Well, let's go ahead and we'll get into the issue. Bayou Billy. Bayou. All right, so creative team for this. This is interesting. Written by Rich Margopoulos. Art by Amanda Connor and Mike Esposito. So issue number 1. Let's take a look. Here we go. Let's talk about the cover. So our cover got that signature Archie Adventure series up in the top left. Adventures of Bayou Billy. And we have a skeezy looking guy dressed kind of like in a southern, I don't want to call that a judge's outfit. He definitely looks ritzy. Got these mirrored shades on, lighting a big cigar. And we have a young lady in distress being manhandled by a guy with a gun on the right-hand side. And there is Bayou Billy, who's knee-deep in some swamp water with a gator between his legs, who's got he's got a crocodile smile. Yeah. First issue collector's edition. If you're into swamp stomping action, read this issue of Bayou Billy. He's not to be missed. So there's also a small, what appears to be a scene of Bayou coming out of is that a parking garage or a hotel maybe or something, in his Jeep, standing up firing his weapon. His Jeep even looks mad. The grill has these teeth painted onto it, while the headlights, everything's angular, so it looks like this car has some definite personality. Bayou Billy, by the way, does not wear a shirt. He wears a vest, but he does not wear a shirt. Keeps his pants up, apparently. That can't be right. Okay, so Bayou Billy, he has a utility knapsack that is held up by a rope, an actual rope around his waist. So the rope probably doubles as a belt and something to hang his knapsack from. And by the way, in his right hand, he has this knife that is huge. All right, let's see what we got here. Script RPM, which I think we discussed earlier, was Rich Margopoulos. Penciled by Amanda Connor. Inked by Mike Esposito. Lettered by Bill Yoshida. Coloring and production by Barry Grossman. Title of this issue was Swamp Fire. First issue, like I said, dropped September. Cover date September of 89. So our first page is a big splash page of Bayou Billy wrestling an alligator. Or crocodile, whatever this is. And when I say wrestling, he's picked it up out of the water in a standing position and is hugging it. Used to be a soldier in the Delta Force. Now he's a bounty hunter. Oh, he's been shot 3 times, stabbed twice, and poisoned once. People want this guy dead. Oh, his full legal name, William Jackson West. Okay. All right. Folks call him Bayou Billy. All right. So we switch a scene here. We're on the streets of New Orleans, I think. And here's an old couple looking to try and find the streetcar. They say they're from New Jersey and they don't get out much. And here come 3 thugs who are going to rob them. And one of them says, "Who's going to protect you, Bayou Billy?" And there's Bayou Billy standing right behind them. Bayou Billy's reputation precedes him, apparently. Bayou Billy hits him with some flash powder. One guy pulls a gun on him. Gets the guy to drop the gun. This third dude. Oh, swift kick to the gut for the third guy. He drops his chain. And Bayou Billy calls the police. Only gives the reward money to the old folks that were getting ready to get on the streetcar. All right. So Bayou Billy apparently has a date in court with Assistant District Attorney Annabelle Lee. So he is there identifying the crook. Hurricane Hank points out, who is very upset that Bayou Billy pointed him out as the culprit in the court. This is a court of law, and Bayou Billy has walked in. He's on the stand and is not wearing a shirt. He's just wearing his vest. Bare chest, bare arms, everything. There he sits. He does have his hat off. So it's funny. He does not have respect enough for the court system to put a full shirt on, but he will take his hat off while he is on the stand. Bayou Billy has stated that this culprit worked for the Gordons. Apparently they're not exactly known for being on the up and up. I guess there was something that caught fire, and this guy was the one that caused the fire. Bayou Billy followed him to the Gordons, and oh boy. So yeah, Annabelle Lee is probably going to put the Gordon's on trial at some point. This guy is upset. So he has okay, bro has a gun for an arm. I assume that's a gun or some kind of weird prosthesis on his right arm. They're dragging him out of the courtroom and he's mad because they just found him guilty. This one officer has his arm. And I was like, what is going on there? His arm's like a gun. Oh no. Maybe it's not a gun. Maybe it's a flamethrower. Oh boy. Okay. Oh, Bayou Billy putting the moves on Miss Annabelle Lee here. Trying to get her to go to dinner. Plants one on her. Bro did not even hesitate. He was wooing her with his words. Listen to this. I'll read this to you. We live in two different worlds, you and I. Mine is one of indoor plumbing, of Mozart and Van Gogh, of rule of law, while yours is, and then he says, the law of the jungle. Quite frankly, Mr. West, yes, I understand. But you're overlooking one thing, which is this. And he puts straight up grabs her face, just lip locks her, and she is, caught the vapors. Okay, Annabelle gets a call, tells her that they have some information for her to meet them out at a pier. She goes alone. Not a smart move. A couple guys drive up on a boat, and one of them pulls a knife on her. It's a trap. Oh, Annabelle knows karate. She's green belt. I was a green belt once. She hops onto the boat that they drove up in, takes off while they're shooting at her from the dock. Oh, okay. Oh, one shot. She got grazed by one of the bullets there. I guess this guy with the gun is a Kid Creole. Kid Creole never misses his mark, even in all this fog. Okay, so Annabelle is taking this boat into the swamp. She's trying to find some refuge and happens upon a house in the middle of the swamp. What a weird place for a house. Oh, there's Billy. Sans vest now. He's straight up shirtless. Yeah, she goes and knocks on the door. Billy answers and she collapses in his arms. Okay, so the news of Annabelle's escape has reached next morning in the St. Charles mansion of Big Daddy Gordon. Oh, it was his son that was trying to kidnap Annabelle. And then we have Rocco, his intelligent stepson, who lets them know, there's a transporter aboard the boat, and that she is at Bayou Billy's. So Bayou Billy has some friends in the bounty hunter business. Sure Shot, Tracker, and Broadside. So Big Daddy doesn't want to go after Bayou Billy because Bayou Billy's friends may come after him. But it turns out all of them are at Bayou Billy's house right now. So Big Daddy's thinking, we can take them all out at once. Well, that could certainly use a editor's note to let me know what this means. It says, eventually in a fist barracks at an old plantation, F.I.S.T. Fist is initials for something, and we have no idea what it is. They don't even say. We get our cast of characters here. We're going to go after Bayou Billy. We get some hillbillies just hanging out in this mansion, playing cards. They're going to go after him. A rogue KGB agent. Oh, man. That is a Yakov Smirnoff thing there. Ha! Where else can a rogue KGB agent defect to become paid highly killer? What a country. Guess his name is Kalishnikov. And then we have this guy that looks like Sergeant Rock, who apparently has a rocket launcher in his hand. And here comes this Wild Bill Yonder guy who's flying a helicopter. How greatly marvelous. I love stink of battle. That sting, you dumb commie. That's funny. Poor Kalishnikov getting a hard time from his buddy there, Sergeant Rock looking guy. It looks like Bayou Billy he's tending to Annabelle, trying to get her to feel better. Oh, here's Broadside, Tracker, and what's the other guy's name? Sure Shot. They're out in the same swamp. Broadside beating up an alligator. This alligator, if it's the same alligator, which most likely it's not, but no respect. Well, they're getting ready for Gordon's goons to show up. Oh, here we get the lowdown. Big Daddy Gordon, crime boss of New Orleans. Rocco Gordon, his stepson, bribes whoever he can buy. Rock Gordon, gambling, loan sharking, you name it. Oh, Billy's aware that they had a tracking device on the boat, so he set a trap. Oh boy. So Bayou Billy, who was part of Delta Force, as I mentioned earlier, talks about why he has such a problem with the Gordons. I guess he served in the military with his friends here, Sure Shot, Broadside, and Tracker. But they kept running out of munitions and rations, and it turns out Gordon was in the same unit he was, and he was selling stuff to the black market. Oh, and they outed him for it too. Okay, so Fist must be the name of the organization that Gordon employs. Knowing the Gordons, we can expect a visit from their Fist. So maybe that's the army that Gordon controls. I don't know. Oh, yeah, they got traps set up. This is not going to be good. These guys rolling in a Jeep hit this vine, which then unleashes the logs from freaking Predator, or better yet, Return of the Jedi. This log swoops down and just nails the front of this Jeep. That's got Kalashnikov in it, I think. And another one fell off a cliff. I don't know what happened there. Oh, it's probably a pit. They're driving down the road, and there is a pit covered by a bunch of branches, and they fall into the whole vehicle, and everybody falls into a pit. Now we got this helicopter guy, this Wild Bill Yonder, I think is his name. He showed up there in his helicopter. Oh, Sure Shot shoots a dynamite arrow up there and it explodes by the helicopter. That's actually really smart. Knocks the helicopter out of the sky. Doesn't hit the helicopter just enough it's right beside it and explodes and messes the helicopter up enough to where it falls down, crashes. So we got some people out, I guess, on a trail in the swamp. 4 of them with flashlights. All you see is the flashlights shining down through the darkness. And I swear there is a snake with a top hat and a cane that they just found. Okay. Kalashnikov and Sergeant Rock Guy are walking around here through the swamp, and they're getting hit with a bunch of traps. Oh, okay. Well, here's a preview of the next issue. Oh, it looks like that flamethrower guy's back. So the front of the issue is Bayou Billy is backed up against a large wall of a bunch of crates of dynamite. Shadow, and they're on fire, by the way, so that's not good. Bayou Billy is in the shadow of this figure who's got his arm up, and flames are coming, smoke, I guess, is coming out of the arm. So, and here we got this guy named Mr. Dynamite, or no, Mr. TNT, who's not convinced Bayou Billy is that much of a threat. Here's Creole, a couple other guys who think they've found Bayou Billy. They're getting away through a secret panel, it looks like. So these must be some of the Fist operatives or whatever, because this one dude looks like a lab scientist. He's got this white coat on, a black belt, and these long, I don't know what they would call lab gloves. He's holding a wand that has a bunch of electricity is sparking from it, and he's wearing these black sunglasses. Interesting look. Oh, Bayou Billy has showed up to fight off these guys. Oh, the guy's name's Lightning Rod. Pretty basic for this science guy with the rod with sparks coming out of it. An enforcer from Detroit, ready to play rough. Kid Creole. Everybody's amazed at the legend of Bayou Billy. You're not human, you're not human. I mean, he's pretty good at what he's doing here. Oh, and he gets caught. He is about to be... This guy has a knife to Bayou Billy's throat. And then all of a sudden, klablong. Homina, homina, homina. That's funny. So yeah, and Miss Annabelle Lee hits this guy with the frying pan from behind. Oh no. I'll cart this trash outside. Broadside Tracker and Sure Shot should be arriving soon in their Billymobiles. Billymobiles. And actually, Miss Annabelle says, Billymobiles, that's a joke, right? Right? No answer. Oh boy. Oh, Billy and Miss Annabelle about to kiss, and then in plops 7 loads of dynamite. He grabs Miss Annabelle Lee and escapes immediately. Oh, he just picked up a cottonmouth snake. Okay. Bayou Billy's pretty confident in his animal handling here. So he finds the guy that threw the TNT in there and ends up trapping him. He's threatening him with this cottonmouth and telling him that he needs to sign a confession. That's under duress, sir. Okay, duress is definitely when you're hanging upside down in a net, being threatened by some vest-wearing crazy man who's got a cottonmouth in his hand, threatening to have him bite you unless you sign the confession. That's duress. Got all the Billymobiles there, and they've loaded up all the villains. And as they watch Billy's house burn into the swamp, they are heading to the Gordon. Next, Hurricane Hank busts loose. Who or what is Helga? Meet Papa Jumbo. More of Billy's origin, and the Gordons get theirs. It's swamp stomping action you won't want to miss. Beautiful. Hey, lo and behold, on the back page of this comic, there is an ad for the Adventures of Bayou Billy, the Konami video game for the NES. Oh boy. And we're talking about a video game property here. Wanted to kind of give it its do, just in case we don't revisit Bayou Billy sometime in the future. You're probably wondering, well, what was the game like? I'll give you a rundown of all of the stages. We're going to talk about the NES version that was released in the States here. I'm going to give you a stage rundown of the game. Stage 1 is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. You fight some bad guys in the swamp, and at the end of the stage, all you have to do is make it through a small lake filled with crocs. And I'm just saying, you don't even have to fight the crocodiles. You can go right to the end of the stage, and then you get to stage 2. Now, stage 2, we switch over to the zapper, or shooter, and we're still in the swamp. We're shooting some of Gordon's men until you reach the boss, which happens to be a big blue helicopter where you have to shoot it until you eliminate its health meter. Now, stage 3 is back to a side-scrolling beat-em-up, still in the swamp, fighting against some crocodiles, some red and blue enemies until you reach the boss, who is this big, bearded behemoth brawler of a guy. Defeat him, you make it to stage 4, and you finally made it to a dirt road and jump in your Jeep for a driving-style challenge, attempting to avoid obstacles and plane-dropped bombs while trying to catch up to the captured Annabelle before the timer runs out. You hit stage 5, and things are getting a little bit more civilized as your Jeep hits the asphalt, but the goal remains the same: reach the end of the stage before the time runs out and avoid getting hit by helicopters, who are dropping bombs as well. Now, stage 6, you finally hit the big city of New Orleans, and the game changes back into a side-scroller with tougher goons, all with a variety of weapons: balls and chains, switchblades, wooden beams, whips. But if you can make it through, you get to the next stage. No bosses on this one. Now, stage 7, grab that zapper because it's back to shooting some of Gordon's goons in a shooter stage that takes place in the streets of New Orleans. If you can make it through, you'll face off with 2 of Gordon's security, one with a gun and the other with a knife. Defeat them, and you are headed into the grounds of Gordon's mansion. Now, stage 8, you're out on the front lawn of the mansion. We switch back to a brawler with more enemies that come after you with a variety of weapons, and just when you think you've made it, you have to face off with some vicious, trained dogs and their trainer. Defeat them, and it's time to head to the final stage. Stage 9, the brawling continues. You've reached Gordon finally, and even though he is hard to nail down, you can do it. And when you do, you still have to contend with 2 bodyguards, but you beat them, and you have defeated one of the more tougher games in the NES library. We're going to get into a dramatic reading here of the ending scene of Nintendo's The Adventures of Bayou Billy. And I want you to pay attention to some of the names of the cast that roll by, because some of those appeared in this very book. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Roll credits.
Thank you, Billy.
Are you all right?
For a while, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew you would come.
Just thinking of you is what got me this far. I'm never going to let you go. I can never let you experience something like this again.
I don't want to ever be apart from you again.
I love you, Annabelle.
Oh, Billy.
Starring Billy West as Billy, Annabelle Lane as Annabelle. Bad guys A, B, and C are Thugs McGraw, Kid Creole, Toulouse L'Attack, Jack Kilstow as Frogman, Hurricane Hank as Fat Man, the Cajun Cutthroat as Punk, Migraine Mike as Chainman, A.L. Hurt as Whipmaster, Swamp Gas Charlie as Dogmaster, Blackie Blue as Iron Man, Rocco and Rocky as the heirs to Gordon's underworld throne, Boss A, played by Louis Torture, and, of course, our final boss, Godfather Gordon, the gangster king of Bourbon Street. The end.